Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Tai'Shar Manethrin, a Wheel of Time podcast. How do you like that suspense? I'm Will.
Hey, I'm Sam.
We are continuing on in Eye of the World.
I probably could have carried that out another second or two, and beyond that, I probably would like, you still there? Well played.
Yeah. So Sam is doing the summary starting with chapter 36. So boom.
Yeah,
Sam, take it away.
so chapter 36, Web of the Pattern, not to be confused with Web of Spider-Man. It's a great series. A little confusing to be reading Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and Peter Parker Spider-Man at the same time, when all three had different stories going on. I digress immediately. This is indeed a podcast about Spider-Man. I imagine there's probably a few of those.
I suspect there's a whole lot of them.
Yeah. Master Basil Gill, gives Matt and Rand a meal, the Queen's blessing, and asks what's going on. And Rand kind of puts it all out there to some degree, leaves out the Trollocs, Murdral chasing them, but says we're supposed to meet the crew here, but otherwise we're going on to Tarvalin. Master Basil Gill says, I don't think going to talk to Elida is a good idea. That might be the understatement of the third age, G. But don't mention Tom around town either. As we've established, he's not welcome in the palace. So a maid takes Matt and Rand to a room in the attic, and Matt lays down, continues to act pretty paranoid, sketchy. Rand says, we need to ask Master Gill some more questions. He might be able to help us find Egwene. And Matt says they're dead to the wall. So Rand's like, okay. Goes to the library and meets Loyal.
Hooray!
Yeah, he thinks he's a Trolloc at first because he's never seen an Ogier before. Tries to draw his sword and falls on his face. Smooth, dude. Describe Ogier here. We did that last episode, so
Well, I described the setting.
True. Okay, fair enough. So, an Ogier is a Trolloc that likes to read books.
I feel like that's a bit of an oversimplification.
That probably is. But, to a country bumpkin from the Two Rivers, it's not so far from the mark. They're hairy elves, They're big hairy elves.
Big hairy elves, also kind of like Ents.
With the voice of a bumblebee.
Yes, a giant bumblebee.
Yeah, slow to anger, but when they get angry and he puts a long handle on his axe, you better watch out.
Yeah, they're kind of described like giant puppy dogs.
And they live for a long time.
Yep.
So Loyal says he's just a kid, only 90 years old. Technically not supposed to go outside without his mom and dad's permission. But had to go see what he's read about in the books. He's positive that Rand is an Aiel. Shows what you and your silly books know. Rand says, "Nuh-uh, I'm from the Two Rivers," which he says a lot lately. Thank you very much. And he tells Loyal the whole story, including all the crazy parts for Ta'Veren reasons, I guess. Also because Loyal is a main character and he needs to be brought up to speed before he can join the party.
That's true. We lost our bard earlier, and so we're picking up a new one, basically.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Loyal tells Rand he's Ta'Veren, and the pattern weaves itself around him. So I guess he knows that from the story? I don't know. Maybe Ta'Veren have a particular musk. That's headcanon for me now. Every time Loyal says Ta'Veren, I picture him wrinkling up his nose a little. It's just like, Ta'Veren, oh.
Now I'm like hearing a one of those like perfume cologne commercials that's like Ta'Veren from Calvin Klein.
Right.
And it's, with some middle-aged celebrity guy talking all weird and philosophical in a black and white ad or whatever.
Without a shirt on. It was like with a gold chain, but like a thin gold chain. Yeah,
exactly.
Cologne ads are very strange. I've looked up why before and I never got a clear answer. I don't know. I don't like it. But Loyal says, gotta go with Rand. He wants to see what Ta'Veren's like. Rand's like, man, you'd be put in danger like I am. I'm being chased by Trollocs. Are you crazy? Loyal's like, nah, man, your friends are probably fine. My words. Paraphrasing. Chapter 37, The Long Chase. Back to a Moiraine, the grumpy warder, and the angry lady, and a pizza shop. On the road to Camelin towards one of the three Ta'Veren who had the tracker coin Moiraine gave him. Not sure which, except, oops, he lost it or something. Oh, wait, it's back and she can track him again. I'm still confused. I'm sorry. Someone needs to explain this to me a little better. It's like he lost it and then she can't track him. But if he has it, why can't you just track the coin? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So away from the road to a White Cloak camp. Nynaeve agrees to help because they've kind of helped break whoever it is out of the camp by cutting the picket line where the horses are tied up. Oh, and by the way, there are wolves around, so tread lightly, Miss Almira. She sees Bella and realizes Egwene must be there too. So she takes Bella and the 3 horses right as Moraine calls down some lightning, causing the horses to scatter. Nynaeve notices wolves chasing the horses, but is focused on getting out of Dodge. So the idea is that they've broken out. Chapter 38, Rescue. What could this possibly be about? Baking cookies, I'm sure. Step back in time ever so slightly to before Moraine brought the thunder. Egwene and Perrin are still White Cloak prisoners, as we mentioned last episode. One night, Bayer offers to let Perrin escape. That's confusing, since the dude is sure they're dark friends. But we don't get to find out why, because Lan knocks him out and unties them both. But says you got to take up a White Cloak because we got to sneak out. But then the lightning crashes down, so I mean, what are we even doing here? Clearly, Lan and Moraine are not on the same page.
I just picture the classic, like, a bunch of White Cloaks walk by and Lan and Perrin jump out and grab them and pull them behind something, and then they all just walk out wearing White Cloaks.
Whistling,
you know?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Far Side, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know why. They all meet up outside the camp. Nynaeve isn't there, and Lan starts to go back for her, but Moraine reminds him of his oath and calls him Lord of the Seven Towers again. We're all kind of wondering a little, Moraine, is that some kind of weird nickname you have for Lan?
I mean, I've got my boys. We got our nicknames.
Lord of the Seven Towers.
Lord of the Seven Towers. Blinky. Trigger.
It just sounds strange. I mean, keep that in the privacy of your own. You know what? Never mind. Nynaeve shows back up with Bella, forestalling further conversation. Perrin hears wolves in his head, and Nynaeve notices he has yellow eyes. Moraine says it won't hurt him. Lan pulls Perrin to one side before bedtime and says it's not like a dark one thing, so no worries there. You didn't catch a cold from a fade. Lan asks if he met a guide, and Perrin tells him about Elias. It turns out Elias was a warder before he went dancing with wolves. Lan respects Elias, so that's cool. Lan says we got to go find the other 2 kids. I am going through these faster than I was thinking I would. I didn't. Yeah, we'll see.
That's the same thing that happened to me. I was just let's just do it. Let's just do it, man.
Fair enough. Chapter 39, Weaving of the Web. Every one of these, I keep thinking Spider-Man. I don't know what to tell you. Lots of webs.
It is weird. There's a lot of webs in this.
Yeah, it's in chapter 40 is the Web Titans. I just noticed. Anyway, 39.
He was on a web kick.
He was, very much so. Rand wants to see the false dragon Logain, who's off to get shown to Queen Morghese. So he asks Matt to join him, and Matt says, take that Trolloc you're so friendly with. Dang, Matt. Loyal is not a Trolloc.
I feel like that should be, super, that would be super racist, right? I mean, to call an Ogier a Trolloc, it would be like a slur.
Oh, yeah. So Rand says, it's like you've never heard of Ogier before. And Matt says, I never heard they look like Trollocs. Well, fine. Basil Gill tells Rand that a beggar has been asking around about him and Matt. So maybe duck into the alley instead of going out front. I mean, couldn't the beggar be in the alley? I don't know. Oh, there's some other folks out there that blame the queen and her advisor for everything. So that's happening. Like traffic. So much traffic. They really blame her for the traffic. Just kidding about that. There's probably no traffic. There's traffic.
Traffic like foot traffic, but
right. Horse traffic.
Yeah. Now I'm picturing horses bumper to
just
bumper,
like snout to butt,
Yeah, and
not pleased about it. Yeah,
just a lot of noises,
tails flicking in faces, and just a bad situation. Right. Yeah, not smelling good. I can't imagine.
And there's little traffic cops, but all medieval kind of era with a little sign that has a green sign for Anyway, I'm taking this too far.
I'm good with it. I'm picturing it. I enjoy it. I'm thinking of the Flintstones, and that's not right. The city is on the brink of fisticuffs between those. I don't know why I had whole city in parentheses. Why did I need to say that? Between the folks who are mad at the Queen and the Queen loyalists. The loyalists wear red armbands, and those other dudes wear white. Rand happens to be wearing red because Ta'Viren, and he has another main character to meet. I was going to make a joke, but it could be spoilery, so I'll restrain myself. And also, at this point, a week after I've written these notes, I've entirely forgotten.
I bet I could. I don't know.
We'll probably suss that out what it was. I don't know what to tell you. The beggar that was aforementioned finds Rand, yells, and tries to grab him. Jeez, man, personal space. Rand takes off and gets lost in the inner city. He hears the drum and the fife. I mean, the drum and trumpets. That one was for you, Will.
Thanks, man.
Rand climbs a wall to get a look. Sees Logain guarded by Four Eyes Sedai. Rand, talking to himself, wonders what they're doing. A girl's voice behind him says they're shielding him from the One Power, to which Rand falls off the wall, hits his head, and passes out.
I feel like our listeners would appreciate the fact that Sam and I, when we were in high school, were in a production of Much Ado About Nothing.
We were, that's true, yeah.
In which Sam played Claudio and I played Benedict.
And we were dressed in like the band
old
uniform.
band uniforms, yeah.
Yes.
But they looked startlingly Renaissance.
Yeah, they worked.
Like,
yeah, it was okay.
Yeah, but we had like legit swords.
yeah, that was fun. Enjoyed it.
But yes, so there's a line Benedict says that Claudio used to hear the drum and the fife, and now he'd rather hear the tapor and the pipe. Talking about him falling in love.
Indeed. Good times. Mm-hmm. We don't see enough Spider-Man in this book. We really don't. Chapter 40, The Web Titans. Rand dreams about Basilmon because of course he does. Because he's sleeping. What else would he be doing? But then he wakes up with a girl looking down on him and her brother. She was perhaps 2 or 3 years younger than him. Okay. I don't know that I 100% realized that, to be honest. I was thinking that Rand, Matt, and Perrin, Gawain, Elaine. I thought they were all pretty much the same age. And I guess a few years really doesn't have a big of a difference, but I don't know why that I just had not put that together.
Right.
Anyway, the girl cleans him up, and it gradually dawns on Rand that this is Elaine, the daughter heir to the throne of Andor.
Andor? I hardly even know her.
And there's Gawain, who says, "Dang it, Elaine, Mom said to stay in her rooms, but you just had to get a look at Logain." So here Jordan says, I'm quoting, "She was clearly the younger of the two, but she spoke as though she took it for granted that he would obey." Okay, that part rings true. Maybe that's why I never caught that Elaine was younger than Gawain. Also, I always thought Gawain was the younger, and I just thought she was the same age as Rand. But again, we're talking about a year or two here, and these people are so young that who cares? Oh, hey, it's Galad too. So handsome. RJ again. The handsomest man Rand had ever seen, almost too handsome for masculinity. As we've said before, there's no way any actor will live up to this.
Exactly. There are going to be so many of these people that it's like this. The description is this is the best looking person in the world, and I don't know.
I think you just get off and cast a woman in this role.
Yeah,
and just don't even acknowledge that she's a woman.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in our postmodern,
just reverse Peter Pan it.
Is that reverse Peter Pan or is that just Peter Pan?
I don't know.
That's just Peter Pan.
Just Peter Pan. Yeah. I was trying to be more clever than I needed to be there.
No, I as you said that, I was like, yeah. Wait, no, that's exactly what they did.
What we're talking about.
Maybe Ryan Gosling could have played this when he was younger, or. I don't know. There's like a few guys that I could see, but also he's got to be like, I feel like he's got to be the kind of handsome that makes you kind of not like him immediately.
Oh yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
That's kind of the feeling I get from him.
Some sort of chiseled jawline, but also like a smoldering stare. And you're just like, get out of here.
Like permanent duck face lips is like,
right. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Galad says Rand is an intruder and calls the guards. And Elaine says that's Galad's shtick. Always does the right thing. And also, he's just awful. And that's what that she is always so insistent that her half brother is just the worst. And he's not always. So Elaine and Gawain sneak Rand away before the guards get there. And oh, hey, it's Talonvor who says, "My lady, forgive me, but Lord Galadriel, I can never say his full name.
Yeah, you nicknamed him Mr. Lawnmower.
Yeah.
Galadriel.
There's too many deades.
And yeah, because his last name is Damadrid, so
just pile on, man.
Galadriel.
Yes. Talonvor says, Lord Lawnmower reported a dirty peasant skulking in the gardens, armed and endangering my lady Elaine and my lord Gawain. If my lady and my lord will please to step aside, I will take the villain into custody. There's too much riffraff in the city these days. So listeners, here is one of those moments we'd like to give a non-spoilery heads up. This is a character we'll see again a long time from now. It's possible you'll forget he was way back here in book 1, like I did twice.
Yep.
He's kind of a jerk here anyway. He wants to toss Rand in a dungeon cell for trespassing in the palace garden. I mean, I guess it's just kind of his job. So.
Right, yeah.
And Rand's kind of being an idiot here.
Right. I mean, kind of wouldn't you if some rando just like dropped over the wall?
Elaine says, sure, go ahead, but you're putting me in there with him. Insert cat row here. I can't roll my R's. Can you? I don't know. See, I was trying to do that's exactly what I wanted. Can't do it. Messenger shows up and kind of forestalls any dungeon throwing. Says, you all got to go see Queenie. So on the way, they're all going. Rand notices that the garden is flowering and green, even though it's winter, yo. Elaine says, Elida uses the power to make that happen. And also, they don't have rats because Elida doesn't like rats. That's a neat trick. I had to pay to get aluminum put into my roof to get rid of mine. Not rats, mice, but squirrels even. Squirrels in my attic. It's not a good thing. They go see the queen, who is in there with Gareth Bryn and Elida. In case it isn't obvious, 2 more characters we'll see plenty of over the next various books. I swear there are others we'll never meet again, but these chapters are just lousy with major character introductions. Elida's knitting, and there was something terrible in her concentration. Elaine says, my boy Rand here is a loyal subject. Morgase knows that the Two Rivers doesn't consider themselves a part of Andor, what with all the Manetherin talk and such. Elida points out Rand's heron-marked braid.
Yeah, he's got a heron-marked braid.
Oh, that would be great. In general, not Two Rivers lookedness. Thanks again, Tam. Morgase says he's got to be too young to wear a heron-marked braid. Dadgummit! Said it again.
They're too young to mark the heron-marked braid. I'm not going to put that in because apparently it's like racist.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Gareth Bryn says it belongs with him. So Elida has a foretelling, capital F, which means the power of the pattern, I don't know, kind of possesses her and makes her make a vague prophecy that will definitely come true, but is open to interpretation. Let me just interject here and say to our longtime listeners, I know we've said like 100% of these things, these asides before, but we're hoping we get some brand new folks listening to these Eye of the World episodes. So thank you for humoring us. Anyway. Her foretelling.
This I foretell and swear under the light that I can say no clearer. From this day Andor marches toward pain and division. The shadow has yet to darken its blackest, and I cannot see if the light will come after. Where the world has wept one tear, it will weep thousands. This I foretell. This too I foretell. Pain and division come to the whole world, and this man stands at the heart of it.
So after that, Gareth Brand says, maybe we should lock him up, send him to Tarvalin with Elaine, Gawain, and Logain. Not together, but... Morgase says, hold on a second. I believe he's actually from the Two Rivers because of his accent, because she's heard the accent before. And we've kind of been too paranoid lately, so let's stop. So we're just going to let him go. Also, another good point, no one with Rand's eyes and hair would claim he is from the Two Rivers unless it's true. Touché. So as he's leaving, Elaine says, if I had told Mother I think you are handsome, she certainly would have had you locked in a cell. Godwin says you look like an Aiel, and you smell like one too. That's why everyone was surprised to hear you say you're from the Two Rivers. So that's the end of the adventure in the palace gardens. Chapter 41, Old Friends and New Threats. So Rand goes back to the hotel and looks for Master Gil, who of course doesn't believe his country bumpkin just showed up and met the queen. I mean, honestly, the stories these kids make up these days. But Loyal makes a convincing argument to Viren, which Gil buys. It's like, oh, well, yeah, of course. But says, well, in that case, you've got to get out of the city because Elida is going to have soldiers searching for you, and yeah, she'll find you quick. Loyal says, once again, can I go? And for some reason, Rand says yes this time. A maid tells Gil that there are white cloaks afoot. Want to search the inn for the boys, but Gil's having none of it. The white cloaks threaten him, and sort of everyone in the common room stands up and crosses their arms, pulls out a knife, breaks a Bud Light bottle and, holds it threateningly. White cloaks raise their hand and surrender because they don't want to get their butts kicked by townies. I really do want to see that bar fight, though. Headcanon, one gets a chair broken over his back, maybe. I tried to write headcanon there with the two N's, and that's even better. In my headcanon, there is a headcanon.
That's, where a cannon just pops out of your head.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
and explains how you make things work in speculative fiction in your head.
Yeah, I couldn't have put it better myself. Hello, everybody else. Moraine and company are here, and Matt is suspicious of all of them. Nynaeve wants to give him herbs for being weird, but Moraine walks in and smells the stink of Shadar Logoth, metaphorically and perhaps literally at this point, because I imagine personal hygiene wasn't really high on Matt's list of priorities. Tries to stab her with a dagger, which Lan prevents. I mean, the dude is like the Flash or Neo from the Matrix. I don't know. 1 minute, Lan was in the doorway. The next, he was at the bedside, as if he had not bothered with the intervening space. His hand caught Matt's wrist, stopping the slash, as if it had struck stone.
I know they're probably not going to do this in the TV show, but I really would love it if Lan moved like an anime character, just like... and just like
I do know. Yeah, I do know. I would like that also. That would be
when they describe it like that, that's kind of what I picture. Like he's just there, all of a sudden.
I need some anime mannerisms generally too. Some lots of eye widening and just. If his hair just
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that's where I was going to. Yeah.
He'll just charge up for like 3 chapters.
Yeah, that's how we'll get through the first book. We'll just have Lan charging up.
Yeah.
I read the other day or yesterday that Jeff Bezos is stepping down as CEO of Amazon.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I guess the news guy's last name is Jazzy, something Jazzy. But I don't know if he's as big of a fan of Wheel of Time. Hopefully. I mean, I'm sure that Bezos is not going to let him just like cancel the show. But anyway, I just was like momentarily like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that for my show.
Yeah, it'll be, he may just be stepping down to like.
He's becoming like the executive chair or something.
Yeah. It's like stepping down in the same sense that Vladimir Putin stepped down from being whatever he was of Russia like 20 years ago.
Exactly. That's probably what's going to happen. Moraine says the dagger will kill Matt unless he gets treated real soon. Also, a nice little tidbit here. Maybe this may have been Jordan kind of giving himself an out. The Shadow Spawn and Dark Friends can sense the dagger, and that's how they've been tracking Rand and Matt. And that explains the cavalcade of Dark Friends that they've been bumping into over the last few chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we know. Lan says there's a bunch of Trollocs and Fades nearby, and unless you want war in Camelin, we should probably make like a tree and get out of here. Moraine says first Matt, then we go, and sends everybody out but Devil Boy. 42, Remembrance of Dreams. So while Moraine plays exorcist with Matt, Rand introduces the gang to our friendly neighborhood Ogier. How could anyone confuse this dude with a Trolloc? He is sprawled out on a couch next to the fire reading a book with a cat curled up on his stomach. Just not very Trolloc-like. Except maybe Narg, I don't know.
We need to have somebody needs to produce a fan film of Narg having a conversation with Loyal.
Oh yeah, I would watch that. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
I don't know if I would pay for it, but I would definitely watch it. I would probably pay for it. I'd pay a little bit for it. The Two Rivers folk are intrigued because they've never seen an Ogier before. But before anyone else can say anything, Perrin says, "The steading, Loyal, are they really havens the way the stories say? Dude, just ask what you really want to know, man. Do the wolves go in there, and can you hear them talking in your head?" And it's steading. So Matt comes down after a while and looks better, but Moraine says it's just temporary. Matt says, "I'm sorry, I've been acting weird. I don't remember much of it." Moraine says he still has the dagger, needs to be separated from it by Aes Sedai in Tar Valon. The Dark Friends and Shadowspawn, though, won't be able to sniff him out anymore, at least. So Moraine says, "Loyal, get out." Rand's like, "Wait, no, he's coming with us." So Moraine kind of rolls her eyes and says, "All right, fine, whatever. The wheel weaves as the wheel weaves." So she sends Lan out to keep watch. And then Rand tells Moraine that he met Elida and the Queen, which is less than ideal. Moraine is not pleased to hear this. Loyal pipes up with a random question. Sounds like something, I don't know, my toddler would say. This one time, this man showed up and said the Dark One will blind the eye of the world and kill the great serpent, time itself. Okay. Pipe down there, buddy. You're new to this group. Maybe let somebody else talk for a while. Perrin said he heard something similar from the Tinkers, and this all upsets Moraine. Just this hearsay from Tinkers and some random guy that visited the steading that one time. Perrin decides it's time to tell Moraine about the bad dreams about Baelzamun. Oh, I looked this up in the wiki. Apparently Baelzamun means heart of the dark in the Trolloc tongue.
There you go.
Do that or not. So Moraine is not pleased to learn of this, but they're just dreams, except this one time that all those rats got their backs broken for real. I mean, that was weird. She says they can keep the dude out by denying him. Perrin says he has an alternative approach. I guess he means wolves. Loyal pipes in with Taviran. That is to say that all three of them are it. Okay. I guess that makes sense. We now know that. I guess we sort of knew that already. Moraine says, "We should go to the Blight. That would be fun, wouldn't it?" Okay, what? Can't leave directly without wading through Trollocs, so we get to learn about the ways. Yay. Moraine wants Loyal to take them, but he says, "Nope, no way, no how." Chapter 43, Decisions and Apparitions. So Rand wants to know why, of course. I mean, it sounds cool to be able to go through this place and come out hundreds of thousands of miles away. What's the downside? Why can't we go through the ways? Why is Loyal so opposed to this? The demonic wind that will kill you.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
There's the whole
Details,
thing. Yeah, it's just, what are you going to do? Yeah.
So Loyal tells a little backstory about the ways. And this is still, I read this a few times, and it's a little bit confusing, so we're going to get into this a little bit. So apparently during or after the breaking of the world, when the Dark One cast his taint upon the One Power, men who could channel went to steadings because they couldn't channel and hoped it would spare them from going mad. So while they were there, they made the ways, which is confusing since they couldn't channel in the steading, whatever. But they gave the Ogier a way to build a way gate. So they would say, plant this thingy outside of your steading and it will grow into a way gate. And you can use these cool ways. So inside, it was like sunlight and shining and like another little mini world where you could walk to another place that was thousands of miles away, and it was this wonderful thing. But then they got corrupted and people started disappearing and come out crazy. Would come out, either they would disappear or come out crazy. And the confusing part is that they got corrupted during the War of 100 Years, which is like like you were saying in the last episode, like 1,000 years after the breaking or whatever. So I don't really understand why during the War of the 100 Years suddenly they got corrupted. That doesn't seem like it's very well explained to me. There's speculation that they were corrupted because they were made by men who were channeling with the taint. That part makes sense, I guess. But why did it take 1,000 years for them to get corrupted?
Yeah, I don't know.
Just a little
either.
bit. Listeners, I keep trying to say readers. Listeners, if you know more about this, why they get corrupted, interested to find out. I don't really think I understand that fully.
Look, I think it's just that they made up their minds and they started packing and they left before the sun came up that day. An exit to eternal summer slacking, but where they were going, they, without ever knowing the way.
That explains it.
It's the lyrics to "The Way"
Yes.
by Fastball, which you probably weren't expecting to hear today.
Now you're thinking it in your head, though. Definitely.
Yeah,
we all are. If you are from
if you were,
time.
if you were, and if you remember the '90s,
yes,
yes, that was one of the anthems for a minute.
It was
for a hot minute.
So Nynaeve says, given all of those wonderful details, Loyal, why in Sam Hill would we want to go in there? Moraine says, if we don't, the Dark One is going to destroy everything because of this rumor that Loyal and Perrin heard. Wait, what now? But they were all convinced by this for some reason. I mean, maybe also the Trollocs outside Camelin. Okay, whatever. So Rand falls asleep. It's late. Dreams of Bioselman again. Carrot this time. Dude tries to tempt him with power, etc. And Rand tries to deny him. And Bioselman is like, I don't care. Rand cuts his hand on some figurines in the dream and jerks awake at the same time as Mat, who had the same dream. And Rand notices a splinter in his hand where he cut it in the dream, just like the last time with the thorn. Moraine says, it's time to go. Chapter 44. The dark along the ways. Like it says on the tin, boys and girls. Go in the ways and it gets dark. That's what you need to know. So Loyal can send a waygate somehow. I figure it's related to tufted ears. So he leads them through Camelin to a random building, and sure enough, the gate is in the cellar. Loyal is upset that people have cut down the grove that would have grown there when the waygate was built.
So this is the way?
Yes, this is the way. The way is kind of a trippy place. The gate itself is like a water mirror type deal that you walk through. I don't know. Inside, it's pitch black except for these floating islands connected by bridges.
It really does sound like a nightmare. I'll say, like,
for sure. Yeah.
That sounds super creepy. Like this abyss with, yeah.
You're just walking along these bridges. There's like nothing underneath. It like initially, it sounded to me like going caving. Have you ever gone caving?
No,
I love it. I love it. I used to go all the time in college. There was this place called Petty John's Cave, and we would go. Sometimes it would be flooded, and that was kind of creepy. And we saw bats in there and stuff. You just put your little headlamp on, and anyway, good times.
I'm sure it would be similar. Yeah, that does not sound like fun to me.
It doesn't sound like fun to a lot of people. And nowadays, I don't know if I would do it, but it was fun back then.
Yeah, well.
And you'd come out, like, you have to wear clothes that were just like, you were going to throw them away because you come out covered in mud, and yeah, it was something else. The lights from lanterns don't seem to penetrate very far, like the darkness kind of closes in. Each island, so between the bridges, there's an island that has a Rosetta Stone looking thing, like a pillar you think from 2001: A Space Odyssey, or what I picture is the store directory thing you see in malls. Man, when's the last time you went to a mall? Pre-COVID, probably.
Yeah, we have outdoor malls, and
okay,
and we have an indoor mall also. But yeah, it's kind of a sad that era of malls is kind of like coming to an end.
That door is being slammed shut by COVID. I feel like, even though it was already on the way out.
Right. And it's like I felt so nostalgic watching the third season of Stranger Things because I was I kind of remember that reminded me a lot of my childhood, even though that was like a little before our time. Yeah. It was like that's the way I remember malls as like a kid, where like this big happening place.
Yeah, we would go to the mall. I mean, it was a small, but we would go, and walk around for 5 minutes. It was how long it took to walk from one end to the other.
But like, yeah, we'd go into the next town over, had a couple of malls.
The stone is called a guide, capital G. It's covered in Ogier script, which Loyal can read, which tells him where to go. They eat in the saddle and keep on trucking. Man, that reminds me. John Cena wrote a kid's book called Elbow Grease.
What?
It's about an electric monster truck, and it is surprisingly great. It is a good children's book.
BJ Novak, who was in The Office, wrote a children's book called I think it's called the Book with No Pictures.
Oh, okay.
I highly recommend that one if you haven't gotten it.
I've not heard of that one. I will check that out.
The whole idea of the book is that the book is making the adult reading it say really goofy things. And it's like you're acting as if you don't want to be reading it. And so the kids love it. About
it. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
That's going on an Amazon wish list. Rand thinks the ways are okay, and then Loyal says that the bridge they're supposed to go on next has collapsed. So, great. Chapter 45, What Follows in Shadow. So Moraine asks Loyal to find another way, and he says he can go to the closest way gate if you want to get out of here right now. She says, nope, take us to Faldara instead. Lan says we're going to have to stop for the night, which nobody really wants, but you got to sleep and let the horses rest. Moraine says, as long as you stay close to me, you won't dream about Baizaman. The next morning, Lan tells them that someone is following. Way to ruin breakfast, Lan. It doesn't seem, whoever it is, doesn't seem interested in catching up, though. So Moraine says not to worry about it. But then they find some signs of Trollocs in the ways, like cockroaches. Once you find evidence of them, you're in your ways, you're never going to get rid of them. They drew some of their graffiti on one of the Maulstone thingies. A rune, a Trolloc rune, which I'm picturing the Quake symbol. And the ways have a very Quake feel to them.
Oh, yeah, I can see that. Or, I was thinking like Diablo dungeon.
Oh, yeah, I get that too. I totally get that. Diablo. So they find the remains of Trollocs, and Moraine thinks it was a trap left by the male Aes Sedai who made the ways that was designed to kill any Shadowspawn who entered. And I guess Shadowspawn didn't generally enter unless they had to, so maybe there'd be some traps left. Rand hears wind, and there shouldn't be any, according to Loyal, except, oh wait, the demonic possessed one, Machin Shen, the black wind that eats souls. Man, I've had that time or two.
That old thing, Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to have a fart joke here, but...
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't mean to... Yeah, okay. Well, let's let's not lose that fart joke.
Okay.
You go on back, start back.
I will.
Yeah.
The demonic possessed one, Machin Shin, the black wind that eats souls. Man, I've had that a time or two after Taco Bell.
Hey-oh! Got him! Woo!
Windows, even if I'm the only one in the car. Yeah.
Yeah!
Fart joke. 2 more bridges to Faldara, Loyal says. So they're off to the races. The key is gone, and Moraine sees no option, the key to the Waygate, that is. Moraine sees no option but to destroy it. She steps out last, and luckily it turns out the demonic wind can't get out of the ways. Apparently the corruption in the ways can mess up even the female half of the true source channel in there, so Moraine isn't feeling so good. On to Faldara to tell Lord Agilmar that somebody needs to do something about this Waygate that can't be closed. Yeah, I was sort of thinking that this could have been Moraine's Balrog moment. I'm glad it wasn't, but I bet Jordan thought about it for a second.
Yeah. Well, you already had one character do the go on, I'll stay behind.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't necessary for a variety of reasons. Chapter 46, Faldara. So Faldara, it's smaller than Caemlyn, very defense-minded, focused on fighting Trollocs because it's so close to the Blight. The Borderlands. Rand, I guess we should say here, there's a couple of countries that are right on the border with the Blight, and they're all kind of very focused on fighting Trollocs. That's kind of their shtick. They're real.
And I don't know, I mean, like, to me, I felt like I intuited what the Blight was, but in case it's not clear, it's this really evil place in the north. It's kind of, I mean, if you were a Game of Thrones fan, it's got a very similar kind of situation.
Yeah, except it's hot, which is weird. Like once you expect it to be like freezing cold, and it's like this demonic humidity. We'll get to that, but yeah, that's the.
I mean, I guess it's kind of in that sense, it's more like Mordor, but in the
true.
In the sense of it's this thing that there are people living along it that are trying to fight it.
The Hadrian's Wall kind of feel.
Right, exactly.
So Rand tries to convince the ladies and Loyal to stay in town while the rest of them go to the Blight. Wasting your breath, of course. Loyal wants to meet the Green Man. Sounds like a drug reference. Yeah, man, we're in Fall Dar. I gotta meet the Green Man.
Yeah, that does sound like I've got to chase the ice pony, man. I've got to
right.
something like along those lines. Whatever it is.
It's like that time that dude on the train warned me and my friends to stay away from the absinthe on our way into Prague. And boy, was he right. I watched a lady go from completely sober to drinking random beers on the bar after one drink of that stuff. Stay away from absinthe, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, particularly in Europe. I understand the stuff in the U.S. isn't real absinthe.
Oh, it is not the same at all. Yeah, it's a strange thing. So Lan tells everybody to push back their hoods so that the guards can make sure they're not shadow spawn, because apparently Fades have sneaked into town. Not good. Lots of people ask Lan if the golden crane will fly again. Homeboy's a celebrity out here. They meet up with Ingtar, who takes him to Agelmar. Ingtar is going to be a character we see here for a while. Ingtar says Shinar is about to ride to Tarwin's Gap to stop a Trolloc attack. And he asks Lan the same question, and Lan says Malkier is dead. So that's about as much elaboration as we've gotten on that subject so far. So Agelmar tries to convince them to go to Tarwin's Gap. Failing that, he wants to send men with them into the Blight, but Moraine says, no thanks. They have dinner with him anyway. Go ahead, Tay.
It's just funny to me, Agelmar's like, hey, we're about to ride into battle, and you just showed up. You want to come? That would be like...
We would love that. We would love for you to join us.
This is just like... And it's funny, but I do think it's a little indicative of the Borderland culture is battle is just a part of life.
Like, we were about to go to battle if you want to join us,
Yeah. Like,
we'd love to have you. It's a great
we're gonna have dinner and then we're gonna go to battle and you're welcome at both or either.
Yeah, your choice. Yeah. But the dinner's spoiled by Padan Fane entering town, who's crazy now and definitely a dark friend. So Agelmar tosses him in a cell for questioning.
Yes.
And that brings us to the end of chapter 46.
All right. I got one spoilery question. So if you don't want to be spoiled, and this may expand onto spoilers in future books, so who knows? So join us in the next episode when we'll be wrapping up the Eye of the World. So my question is,
okay.
Does Basil Gill expect Rand can channel? Because he seems worried specifically about Elida finding him.
Oh, interesting. I just, when I read that, I just thought of him thinking Elida was going to throw him in jail.
Right.
But maybe, yeah.
I was just thinking about that. I don't know if there was something in the way that they talked about, Tom being...
Right, yeah, Tom's nephew. I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah,
like
if there was something that he's like,
you need to get away from Elida right now, boy.
Right. And I mean, or if he's just like, hey, Elida's the worst anyway, so... Yeah,
you don't want to get thrown in jail, so get out. But it does seem sort of sudden. He's like, all right, you got to get out of town right now.
Right, yeah.
The cops are coming,
Exactly. That was just a thought that I had at this point.
It's so funny to see Gareth Bryn. I don't know, was he involved with Morghese at this point? I don't know if that had already happened or if it's clear.
It's it's not clear the extent to which their relationship was.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like it was just kind of like they had a relationship, but that it didn't go super far.
Right.
Kind of the picture that I got anyway.
It's interesting to see like him at Morghese's side in this chapter or these chapters, and Talonvor just being a normal like guardsman.
Right. Yeah.
These characters will be in different places with different people.
Right. Oh yeah, that's true.
Next time we encounter them.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because, like you said, I wouldn't. If somebody asked me, "Hey, does Talonvor show up in the first book?"
I would never. Yeah.
No, I would have been like, "No, I don't think so."
Well, yeah. Why would we? Why would he do that? Yeah. At one point, Gawain fingers his knife, and I'm like, "Hey, foreshadowing. He's gonna want to stab Rand later."
Yeah.
Doesn't want to now as much. Now he's just kind of grabbing his dagger because he's nervous.
Yeah. Elaine just hates Galad so much. Right. I feel like that almost like Jordan was trying to make us suspicious of him.
Oh, sure, and then subvert that later, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, I
And
get that. Make him more of a three-dimensional character than you expect him
Right.
to be. You expect him to be cartoonishly, ridiculous.
I feel like it becomes pretty clear, like when he helps them escape
Okay, yeah,
and
that sounds right.
everything. I think it kind of becomes clear at that point that there's more to him than
He's like, of course I'm not going to give you up. You're my sister. Jeez.
Right. Yeah.
Terrible. You really have. He's like, you have such a low opinion of me.
You're right. You really do get a picture that he's a better guy. And I guess, I mean, part of what you're setting up here is subverting both the expectations, because Gowan is cordial and friendly, and he is, the next couple of times we meet him, and Galad's kind of stiff and cold, and you kind of get the opposite impression of kind of the way their characters land towards the end of the books, where Galad, it's not like he is a totally different character in one way. He's a rule follower, but it really is out of a sense of nobility and integrity to him. It's not just a legalism. It's like, hey, if you're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way. Like, he may have even been thinking, oh, Rand may be perfectly fine, but we've got to take him in. We have to do this, because if he is a dark friend or whatever, then it's on us if we're not following the rules and reporting,
Right.
I think it's a sense of obligation to responsibility more than it is just you got to do this because these are the rules. That's the picture anyway you get. All right, well, guys, once again, we're just tickled pink that you listened to this episode, and we would be honored if you would stop by our website at tsmpodcast.com and fill out a contact form. If you say nice things or pose interesting questions, we will read it on our next show update episode. Also, follow us on the socials at Podcast TSM on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can talk to us on there as well. And stop whatever you're doing right now and go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and a review, especially if it's a nice rating and review. Guys, thanks again for listening. And as always, Tai'Shar Manetheren.